Okay, I hope you guys all heard that. We are now recording. Everybody, welcome on board to CAIA Level 1 for March 2025. This is the first session that we're having for March 2025. So welcome on board, everybody that is with us. Wishing everybody a most successful 2025 exam session. Hopefully it's a good one for everybody. Okay. And one of the secrets to success, I got asked by a student about 2 weeks ago when our exam results released a week or two ago. And I've only got one answer. Okay. And that answer is, guys, it's the consistency. Okay. And that's why a lot of guys like this particular Zoom session, and it's because it's every week, every second week. And by the time you come to the class, you've covered the material that you need to cover. It's all in order. Okay, so yeah, so the lovely thing about the Zoom classes, and if you don't want to attend the Zoom classes and you're studying on your own or whatever, no stress at all. But just remember, guys, the consistency is going to be your key to success. Don't leave it to January, early Feb, and start to try and cram things into an already busy schedule. Do yourself a bit of time every day, and that's where the success will come. Every single day, a little bit of work. Follow the schedule. You're going to be fine. Okay. So let's get ourselves going straight away, guys, and let's just begin with first and foremost what the Zoom sessions are about. Okay, just to give a bit of clarity, of course, for those that are not yet familiar or haven't been involved with us for a bit. Okay, the Zoom class format, okay, is a format that we make use of. That the key proponent behind the Zoom class format is that the sessions belong to you guys. Belongs to the student. What we mean by that is that we tell you when the next Zoom class is going to be. Okay, the next one will be next week, Sunday, by the way. Okay, we tell you what's going to be covered in that particular Zoom class, what we expect of you to have covered by the time you come to that particular Zoom class. Okay, after that, everything else just belongs directly to you. So, for example, there's no set format specifically for the Zoom classes. Okay, I'll wait for you guys. I'll wait patiently, okay, for you guys to tell me what you want us to cover in those particular Zoom classes. Okay, so you say, well, I've gone through the material. Because obviously, remember, guys, the point of the Zoom class is to give some type of structure to the program. So, for example, for today's session, I'm hoping that everybody has had some time to look at topic number 1, to look at professional standards and ethics. That is the material that is supposed to have been covered for today's session. We'll talk a little bit about towards the end of the session today. What if you're behind? What if you haven't covered the material for that particular session? Where does that leave you? Is it still worthwhile to join that particular Sunday session? Should you just watch the recording? Remember, everything is recorded, so it gives a bit of comfort for those that would want to watch the recording at a later point in time. Okay, so there we go. So there's many different options available for everybody, but let's talk about that. But essentially, guys, the purpose of this Zoom session is twofold. Number one, it's to give structure to the syllabus. In other words, by that particular time, when we get to those particular Zoom classes, a certain amount of content should have been covered for that particular session. Number one. And number two, it's a lovely live Zoom, a lovely live class experience for everybody. You can ask whatever you like. Typically, what I do like, if you can, okay, is to send me your questions beforehand and say, listen, I was going through this particular section. Can you expand on it a bit in the Zoom class? Can you talk a little bit more about this in this particular class? Absolute pleasure. So typically speaking, I love it when if you give me a bit of notice a day or two before, a day before, makes no difference for me. And I can prepare the Zoom class a little bit more efficiently for you. If not, makes no difference. Still come to class, still ask your questions, and we'll be able to help you, hopefully, with most of what's troubling you. Okay, so that's just what I wanted to handle up front, guys. What are the Zoom classes for? Okay, they're not just there to be able to have a bit of a class setting. It's also to give quite a bit of structure to the syllabus and then I can guarantee you guys, if you follow the Zoom class format, okay, as we've given it to you, and you come to class as and when each and every class is, you will finish well ahead of time, give you plenty time after that to be able to do questions, give you plenty time after that to be able to do practice exams, revision, get you completely ready for the exam. Okay. It's a tried and tested approach, guys. It always works. Not always. Okay. But it works. Okay. And there's no rocket science in it, by the way. Okay. It's just the consistent approach to studying as we go through the program. Okay. And guys, by the way, as you can see, I hope I haven't offended anybody, but I have muted everybody because as we get more and more people onto the call, okay, it can get a little bit noisy, but please, if you've got any questions you'd like to ask as we go through, absolute pleasure, unmute yourself, okay, and just ask your question with pleasure. We'll try and answer everybody's questions. Okay, just in terms of today's session, guys, if you're looking at your clocks, your watches, okay, and you've got something on, everybody's got something on a Sunday. I know it's always a busy day. Please put CAIA into your calendars for Sunday, please. Okay, it's only 6 months, guys. It's even less than 6 months. Now it's 5 months. Okay, till exam time. We write in March. Okay, it's a commitment. So if you've committed to it. Put the time in, put the effort in, and let's get this one done. Okay. But as I say, if you are looking at your clocks, we started at 3 p.m. my time, the Americas. Okay, that's round about 9 a.m. Canada, probably 9 a.m. as well. UK, probably 2 hours back. Germany, an hour back. And then we move all the way forward again. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, typically about 4 hours ahead. My sense is round about 6, 7 o'clock your guys' times. And then we go into the Australias, much later, Hong Kong, Singapore, it's night time for you guys. So we try to find a bit of a mixed time to make sure we can accommodate as many candidates as possible. Okay. So, but it doesn't matter. Wherever you are, add on 1.5 hours, 90 minutes from our start time, and we should be done today. It's not too long of a session. Typically, the sessions run anywhere between 90 minutes, 1.5 hours, to 2 hours, depending on the level of material and depending on the questions that we have from the candidates. Okay, so let's get going. What I want to do first and foremost, now that we've done our welcome, you're all welcome, okay, and a little bit of a chatter around the Zoom classes. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the CAIA Level 1 program. So today we're going to really break our session down into 2 components, guys. We are going to look at the material today, and you'll see how I handle the material will dictate to you how you need to approach coming to these Zoom classes, okay? Because obviously, guys, I'm not going to reread all the notes to you. I'm not going to go teach you the material again. And reason being, of course, we've done that already in the notes. You've got a complete set of notes. You've got a complete set of videos, a complete set of questions, a question bank. So no need for me in these particular live Zoom classes to reteach that. Okay, I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting your time. And it's your Sunday, so we don't want to do that. Okay, but okay. You'll see what the purpose of the session, where I can add value to more difficult concepts, guidance, okay, a bit of strategy, how to study sections and things like that. That's where I believe we get the most amount of value in these sessions. We'll do that 1 second. First, I just want to go and have a look at, for those that are not familiar with it, and you can ask all the questions that you like, guys. What is CAIA Level 1? What's in your exam, etc., all that kind of good stuff. Let's go and have a look at that first and foremost. Thereafter, we will focus then on the actual material at hand for today's Zoom session. Topic 1, professional standards and ethics. Let's get going straight away. So I want to stop sharing this one with you, and I want to share. There we go. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, I think that's the one I'm looking for. Okay, here we go. Okay, some of you might have seen this document already. Okay, but I'm going to take you through it fairly quickly because I believe that a lot of guys have seen it already. Number 1. Number 2 is if you've registered for CAIA 1, I hope you've seen a bit of this already. Okay, so we start off over here, guys. Okay, everybody by now is aware that you write 2 exams for CAIA Level 1. When do you write them? 3 March till 14th of March. And I just want to mention up front now, guys, just because you've registered with CAIA and you've paid your CAIA fees to write CAIA Level 1, you don't yet have an exam. Okay, what I mean by that, that means that you've paid your CAIA fee, but you've got to go into the CAIA system and book an exam time. Okay, so just please, guys, and that's of course why we've got this exam window. The exam window is quite a long window. It's around about 2 weeks, 3rd of March to the 14th of March. It's around about a 2-week period. Now, when you now go into the system, what you're going to find already, because there's been quite a few registrations already for CAIA up until this point in time, what you're going to find, some of those dates are booked already. Okay, so my strong advice to you guys, if there is any specific date that you're looking for, okay, and everybody wants the 14th of March, by the way, because it gives them more time to study, okay, but my strong advice is go into the system, and you see on the system over there, book an exam. Click on that one, guys, and book your exam, because then you've now booked an exam. I'm not going to scare anybody now, but I'm going to say to you, it's about 99% confirmed that will be your exam date. There are sometimes, unfortunately, changes, but I must tell you, of all the organizations that I deal with, and I'm including over here CAIA, CFA, FRM, FDP, CAIA is one of the most accommodative in terms of, so if there is anything that goes wrong, we get on the phone to Kathy. I shouldn't advertise Kathy over here, but she's such a help. Okay, and they just get everything done for you guys, so no stress at all. But go in and book an exam. Okay, what does your exam look like, guys? Your exam, it's 100 multiple choice questions in exam session 1. It's 100 multiple choice questions, exam session 2. Now, the maths, as we know, guys, is fairly gentle in terms of this, and it's not in your favor, fortunately. Okay, what do we know? You've got 120 minutes to do 100 multiple choice questions, and that translates into 72 seconds per question. Wow. That's quick. It's the quickest of all the designations, guys. CAIA runs at 72 seconds, CFA 90 seconds, FRM's FTP is 1 minute 5 seconds. Okay, almost 2 minutes. My apologies. And FRM is the longest, but it's in line with the questions. And FRM does ask slightly more extensive questions. You've got 2 minutes 24 seconds for FRM. Okay, so this is. We work towards this, and guys, I just want to be very upfront with everybody over here. If you listen to what I'm saying, we work towards the 72 seconds. What a lot of candidates do right from the beginning is they try and answer questions, and this is part of the guidance that we're going to give you as part of the live Zoom classes. People try right from the beginning to answer questions in 72 seconds. So they read through a section, they watch the video, etc., then they start doing practice, and they start to try and do practice in 72 seconds. What you'll notice about all of our Q banks, we don't time them on purpose. I purposely don't put a time there. I don't want you doing them in 72 seconds. The first part of your program, and we've got time, let's use the time. Okay. The first part of your program is, guys, is understanding the material. I don't mind if you take 7 minutes and 20 seconds, 10 times the amount, to do a question, as long as you come out of that question with a complete understanding of what was wrong, what was right, and you understand the material going forward. Okay, it makes no sense whatsoever, and it's a bad strategy, guys, at the beginning to try and do questions in 72 seconds, because it's very difficult until you've really gotten into the material and understood the material in a lot more detail that you're able to do these questions in this quick time. Yes, when we get closer towards exam time, we shift. And we shift from that process of complete understanding, of slow learning, of immersive learning, to then, well, now we've got to move. We've got 4 weeks till exam time. We've now got a teacher. We show you different strategies of how to make sure that you can answer these questions in 72 seconds a question. Okay, is everyone clear? So I put the time up there just always to have something in the back of your heads that, yeah, by the time comes, we've got to answer questions fairly quickly. Okay, but not now. Not now. Everyone clear? Okay. In terms of the exam window for September, we don't know yet. We're waiting to hear the dates. Okay, they might be out already, but not at the time of producing this document. How long do you need to study for CAIA? Guys, it depends. Each person is different. A lot of my candidates tell me they put in 300 hours. Some go as much as 350. We had a candidate from India who started CAIA level 2 weeks before the exam, and he passed. Okay, but don't be impressed. Well, you can be impressed, but don't be overly impressed, because he was already a CFA charter holder. He had an FRM, he had an accounting designation, and something else as well. So this was really a build up onto those existing designations that he had. So less time required for study. And the same thing will apply to anybody here. If you have studied alternatives already, or you're an expert in certain of these areas, yes, it's going to take you less time to go through those. Okay, everybody clear so far? Okay, guys, next section, we have a look at the topic weights. Okay, and particularly what we're going to be covering today, professional standards and ethics. It's got a 15 to 25% exam weighting. Okay, so just in terms of what that means for your exam, guys, okay, remember your exam is, you've got exam 100 multiple choice questions. Okay, and then you got exam 2, and it's rinse and repeat. And we often get asked, what gets asked in each exam session? Everything again. It's a complete rinse and repeat process, guys. They ask everything, all 8 topics in both exams. Okay, so if you're looking at we're going to work on ethics because that's where we are today, guys. If you're looking at a 15 to 25% exam weighting, you'll take 100 MCQs, and let's just average the 15 and the 25 down to 20%. It's an average of the two. Well, you can expect 20 multiple choice questions. Everyone clear? Okay, so in exam session 1, 20 multiple choice questions, and in exam session 2, come back and do another 20. The experience, and I can't say too much because remember, one of your ethical requirements, and today we are doing ethics, one of your ethical requirements is you cannot talk much about the exam. Everyone comfortable? So we can't say too much, other than to tell you, generally speaking, they do go in order. So what that means is that when you start your exam session 1, and let's just say, for example, they're going to keep to the average weighting of 20 multiple choice questions, the first 20 questions will all be ethics. Okay, then you'll follow on for the next 25 odd questions, and those will be topic 2, introduction to alternatives. Follow on. So it generally works like that. They don't mix and match them, give you one ethics question, one hedge funds question, then a private equity question, back to ethics, back. It doesn't work like that generally. But again, there's no rule to say that it can't. Okay. We continue onwards over here. Okay, let's have a look. And there are your 8 topics altogether. First one today is ethics. Intro to alternatives. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a word on that one. It's not an introduction, guys. It's a bit of a misleading topic. It's a deep dive into alternative investments. We do quants. We do statistics. We do derivatives. We do equities. We do fixed income. We do hypothesis testing. Okay. It's a deep dive into alternatives, by no means an introduction. Okay, and you can see it's no means of introduction because look at the exam weighting. It's got the highest exam weighting of all of the 8 topics, followed by ethics. Okay, ethics does carry a massive weighting in terms of, and CAIA, in a sense, I'm not saying they're followers, but CAIA in a sense do follow the lead from CFA, who also make ethics a significant mark allocation for the exam. If you hate ethics, you don't want to do ethics at all, my suggestion is you move across to FRM. FRM have got 2% of their paper is ethics. Okay, so if you don't like ethics, okay, FRM might well be your thing. Okay, and then in terms of the other topics, guys, we've got real assets, private equity, private debt, hedge funds, digital assets, and additional strategies. And what you notice in terms of the 4, we classify them, or CAIA classifies them as the 4 major alternative asset investment classes. Number 1 is real assets. Number 2 is private equity. 3 is private debt. And number 4 is hedge funds. Okay. Yes, we've included digital assets as well and some little additional strategies. By the way, additional strategies is really what, guys? It's a fund of fund strategy. That's all. Okay, but not as really a specific alternative asset investment class. Okay, is everyone comfortable? So there are your 4 asset classes. And what you notice over here, private debt has got a higher weighting this year than ever before. And anyone that's out there in the market will tell you private debt is attracting a lot of attention. And the number of readings for private debt have also increased as well, hence the increased weighting. Additional strategies has gone down in weighting because it used to be 2 readings in 2024. It's now only 1 reading in 2025. Where did the other reading go? Don't be upset if you're enjoying that reading. It's an equities reading, equity structured products that's gone across to CAIA level 2. It's waiting for you. Okay. In April next year, when you pass CAIA level 1, that particular reading will be waiting for you there. Okay. Other than that, everything's kept the same weighting as it had in 2024. Okay. Now, it's a nice quiet class today, no questions. Okay. I hope I haven't put people to sleep yet. It's always a bad thing. Okay. We continue onwards, guys. In terms of where the material comes from, okay, the material comes from, okay, you've got 2 sources really. Your first source is for ethics, which is your Standards of Practice Handbook, the CFA Institute. Okay. And no change, of course, 2024 to 2025, same thing. And a lot of guys will say to me, well, it's quite a lot to read from the CFA handbook. Yes, it's a couple hundred pages, a few hundred pages. But of course, that's those that are in the program get benefit of the fact that we summarize that nicely for you down to a manageable level. Okay, but I'm just bringing it over here. If you wanted to study from source material, the source material is the CFA ethics. Okay, let's go. Okay, everything else. Okay, topic 2, intro to alternatives, real assets, number 3, 4 and 5, private equity, private debt, hedge funds, 6, 7, digital assets, and 8 additional strategies, all come from this book called the Wiley textbook. Okay, and we typically get very, very conscientious students, and they phone me for a bit of advice at the beginning of the CAIA program, and they tell me, do we have to use the CAIA text, the Wiley textbook? And I say, no, my notes are more than sufficient. I've got tons and tons of guys. We've been very blessed with our classes, and I've got hundreds of students now that have passed just by using our notes. And then they tell me, no, they want to use the textbook. And I say that's a good strategy, not a bad strategy at all. The only downside of using the textbook, it's a nicely written textbook. It's comprehensive. It's detailed. It's going to take you a lot more time. And they start. And then I get a phone call a month later. This is taking way longer than we thought. Okay. It's typically the process. But guys, the reason I say that in jest, of course, but there's nothing wrong with the textbook. However, if you're asking me, are my notes sufficient as a standalone without even opening the textbook? The answer is yes. Okay. Is it a bad textbook? Not at all. It's a lovely textbook. And I guarantee you guys, I read the textbook because I prepare the notes for you. So I've got to read the textbook first. Okay. So I read it. It's a lovely textbook. Okay. But it's detailed. And there's 3 big books that you've got to get through. Each, I think, 400-500 pages. So obviously that's why people prefer to use a prep provider like ourselves to try and just shorten that process a little. Okay. But those are your 2 source materials if you wanted to. The Wiley textbook and the CFA ethics note. Okay. I'm not going to spend too much more time over here, guys, unless there are any specific questions. Just to let you know in terms of of your exam, okay. In terms of calculators, guys, I do strongly suggest, let me see if I can find mine here. Here we go. Okay. That is the Texas Instruments BA2 Plus. Okay. There's also the BA2 Plus Professional. That's also allowed. It costs a little bit more, but it is more sturdy. If you want a bit of a more chunky calculator, a little bit more sturdy, a little bit more heavy, then you would go for the BA2 Plus Professional. What's the real difference between them? I think $10 or something like that, but no real material difference. Both can do what we need for this exam. Okay. You'll notice over here, I did not put the HP 12C. Okay. The Hewlett Packard 12C, but it is an allowable calculator. It's a good calculator. The challenge that you're going to experience, guys, is that there are not a lot of providers that teach on that. I can't think of any. Okay, everybody teaches on the Texas Instruments. So if you haven't yet bought yourself a calculator, do yourself a favor and get one of those. Okay. And of course, we've got tutorials on those as well to help you understand them, go through them. So it's a much better approach than trying to. If you are an existing HP12C user, well, then you're in a good position as well. And then I'm sure you know how to use that calculator. Okay, so there we go. But if not, go for the Texas. Okay. In terms of equations, guys, equations, formulas, I don't love this, but it is what it is. And we've got to make do with what it is. If you're here to get the CAIA designation, well, then we've got to just do what they tell us to do. And equations must be learned. There are a couple hundred equations. My strong suggestion, guys, okay, a lot of people say, you know what I'm going to do? I've got a good strategy. I'm going to leave learning the equations till the last week before the exam, March the 5th. Not a good strategy. Okay. Why? Because as you learn the equations, you learn them, you remember a couple, forget a couple, do it again. Now you remember more, do it again. And then eventually, okay, it now enters your long-term memory and it's there. Okay. No stress on exam day. So guys, as we go through sections, my suggestion is don't come to that last set of notes that we've got for you on the classroom and say, you know, oh, okay, sure, I'm finished studying. You're not finished studying yet. I want you to spend time on those formulas, learn those formulas, guys, okay? Because if you learn them now, you don't have to learn them later. Because you'll learn them now, you'll forget a couple, learn those again. And eventually comes December, January time, they've now entered long-term memory and you're in a great position. But no, and I'm going to answer the question for everybody now. CAIA does not give you the formula. There's a few, we call them the formula exemption list. I'll put that out a little bit later on. But other than that, and I think there's 11 or 12 formulas, if memory serves, at most, okay, on the exemption list. So the rest have to be learned by heart. And I say, I don't love that as a strategy, but it is what it is. Okay. Answers are 3 to 4. What do we mean 3 to 4? It's either an A, a B, or a C. And sometimes it's A, B, C, and sometimes they give you a D in there as well, depending on. Okay. Now, in terms of a pass mark, 70%. If you want to be certain of passing this exam, 70% is your passing grade. Okay, it may be lower, but CAIA is the only designation that in fact tells us quite straightly and honestly that if you get 70%, you pass this exam. Okay, so, but it may be a bit lower. Okay, so as you're going through exams, my suggestion is try and aim for 70%. That is your guarantee. If you get 70%, CAIA tells you you are guaranteed to pass. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much more time over here, guys. Hopefully we've given you guys a bit of an introduction into CAIA Level 1, what you can expect from your studying, what you can expect from the exam. Okay, and I'm just going to take a brief breather over here to see if anyone's got any questions, guys. Anybody? Okay. Remember, guys, this is not the only session we're going to have together. So if you do come up with a question that you have, remember, those that are part of the Zoom class, of course, have got, I shouldn't say unfettered access, but have definitely got access to me on the WhatsApp voice note system, and feel free to either type up a note or write a note, and we always respond back to those as well. So if you don't get your questions answered today, or you don't ask your questions today, but you still have something you want to ask, feel free to do it via the WhatsApp class. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop sharing this particular document with you, and I'm going to share. I want to start to talk now a little bit about. Let's go back to the main page over here. Let's just see where we are. Okay, so hopefully by now everybody's got a bit of a sense of what you can expect for the CAIA Level 1 exam. Let's talk a little bit about ethics. Okay, because that's really the reason that we are all here today. Okay, topic number 1. professional standards and ethics, okay, 15 to 25% of the syllabus. Okay, and as mentioned, guys, there are 100 questions in exam session 1, 100 questions in exam session 2, and we know there's 20%. I'm averaging between the 50 and the 25. You can expect 20 questions in exam session 1, 20 in exam session 2. So you've got 40 MCQs on ethics out of your 200. It's fairly sizable. Okay, so out of your 200 questions, 40 of them are likely to be on ethics. Okay, let's have a look. We've got a question over here. Okay. I know that you recommend the Texas Instruments BA2 Plus. Are there any other calculators allowed on the exam? No. And I can tell you guys, don't try. Okay. They will not. That's the very first thing that the proctors check for, is they check your calculator. You're not even allowed in the exam room. Okay. Until they check your identity. They identify you. You generally need 2 forms of identification, and then they check your calculator. Okay. By the way, okay, I don't know if this happens in every location in terms of CAIA testing. They test your glasses. Okay, you've got to take your glasses off. They test your glasses, okay, before you're allowed in. I don't know, maybe they're looking for cameras or recording devices or anything like that. I don't know, but be ready for it. Okay. And don't wear your glasses that have got the cameras, please. Okay. So, guys, in terms of topic 1, professional standards and ethics, there's your 15 to 25%. And, okay, you can expect around about 20, the first 20 questions, okay, of your exam. And I want to talk about that as well. Okay. Just a question over here. Is the CAIA workbook the same as the Wiley book? No. The CAIA give out a bit of a textbook. It's a lovely little, it's not a textbook, it's a workbook where they give you a little bit of guidance. They give you a little bit about what I've spoken about now, what's in the exam, what you can expect on exam day, the learning objectives. But again, every single set of notes that I'm going to give you guys, that I do give you, okay, I've got all the learning objectives there in detail. So you wouldn't really need that at all. But no, they are different. The workbook and the Wiley textbook are different. Different animals. Okay, now, what's the challenge here with ethics? Okay, and we'll go into the ethics in a second. But now that I've told you this, guys, that the first 20 questions of your exam, okay, are going to be ethics. Okay, generally speaking, okay, what you're going to find with ethics are 2 points, and it's normal. And please remember my words, because you're going to hear me saying them time and time again, and hopefully they'll resonate with you. Number 1, okay, when we look at ethics questions, they're not long, they're a little bit longer than the normal question. Okay, there's a little bit more that you need to read with ethics than when you get to the calculation and other small type of sections, okay? And they do take you a little bit longer in terms of time. Number 2, okay. I'm not sure if ambiguous is the right word. Ambiguous, unclear, not sure. Here's all the words that come to mind. And guys, I've had candidates, and I wrote this exam, okay, maybe a bit longer ago than most of you, okay? And I can tell you, you can do 20 ethics questions, and you can have in your mind, you're not sure if you've got 20 out of 20, okay? You're not sure you've got 20 out of 20, or you've got 0 out of 20, okay? Completely normal. Why is it like that? And the reason that it's like that, guys, is because there's always going to be 2 possible answers. Ethics is, and as I go through it with you today, guys, you're going to see ethics is a section that is in and of itself not crazy difficult. Okay, it's not quantum physics. It's not too difficult. It's fairly gentle in terms of what you can do, what you can't do, what's allowed, what's a violation. But okay, the challenge is in your exam, they make everything look a little bit gray. Not, if I just say to you guys, can you drink 8 whiskeys and go and give investment advice. Everyone's going to laugh and say, oh, of course not. Okay. 8 whiskeys, well, at least for me, I don't know about you guys. 8 whiskeys later, I'm not giving great advice. Okay. So easy question, but they don't ask it like that. Okay. They say you had 1 whiskey. They say you had 2 whiskeys, which you normally do have at lunch anyway. Well, they make it a little bit vague. Okay, so just remember the 2 things that are always going to be there with ethics is number 1, they are a little bit longer to answer. So when you've done your first 20 ethics questions, guys, you look at the clock and you say 20, and you do the calculation, 20 times 72 seconds, and you see what? I'm a little bit over time where I should be. It's normal. Okay, don't spend too much time over, but if you take a couple minutes over, not the end of the world. There are always going to be some short little punchy questions where you can answer those but a little bit more quickly, and you'll make up the time there. Don't stress. Okay, but number 2 is often candidates tell me they wrote the exam, and after the ethics section, as they were about to start the introduction to alternative section, and they've done 20% of the paper, they're depressed. Okay, I said, why are you depressed? No, they're upset. They're not sure of the 20 questions where they stand. They just don't have a clue. I said, it's completely normal. Okay, you will not be sure. Okay, however, when you do the next 25 questions, you'll have probably a good sense of whether you got them right or wrong, as you will for the rest of the paper. Not so with ethics. Ethics is very unclear, not sure, ambiguous, call it whatever you like. And that's ethics. Okay. And remember, every ethical question, that's why they have ethical boards, compliance departments. They've got to decide, is this an ethical issue? Everything stands on a little bit of what do they call it? On the fence. Not easy. Okay. So just remember, it's completely normal. And once you've done your 20 questions, you're not sure if you're sitting on 20 out of 20, 0 out of 20, 10 out of 20, you have no idea. I always tell my candidates, take a deep breath and carry on, because it's completely normal. Everyone happy with that? Okay. I see we do have a question over here. Let's have a look. Okay. Okay. As there are 2 exams for level 1, is the score an average score of the 2, or is there a requirement to pass both? No. You just need to get, for example, if you need to get 70%, okay, I'm talking about a very confident student. So he comes and he writes exam session 1, and he's confident that he's got 100 out of 100. Okay, as I say, very confident student. He comes for exam session 2 and he does the first 40 questions. He knows he's got them all right, and he leaves the exam room. Had enough. He's now got what? 140 marks out of 200 marks. He's got his 70%. And he's got his pass. Not a strategy I advise, guys, but it answers the question, I hope. There's no prerequisites. I've had this fight with CFA students for many, many years. There's this urban legend that goes around, if you don't pass ethics, you're going to fail the exam. So you can get 100% on everything else, but if you fail ethics, the 20 ethics questions, you're going to fail. It's nonsense. I had a girl that I studied with. Well, she came to our classes, CFA level 1, 2, and 3. And you know what? For 3 years in a row, and she's not an unethical girl by any means. Don't get the wrong idea. But for 3 years in a row, every level of CFA, she failed. She didn't get 50. She failed ethics. She couldn't get in her head. And it's the same ethics for CFA, by the way, as for CAIA. She could not do it. And every year, she failed ethics level 1, failed ethics level 2, and every year she passed the CFA exams. She passed all 3 exams first time writing. Okay, so don't listen to anybody else. And if you've got any questions, please put them through me first. Don't share them with everybody else and make yourself crazy that you've got to get this or do that or do that. I'll tell you if it's true or not. We can work from there. Okay, let's go. On the exam, can you start with any section? You can do whatever you like. Correct. Okay, what you'll notice, and I've now incorporated this, guys, into our Q banks as well, there's a little section over there, a little block. And that little block says flag. Flag for further, for later. Okay, if you tick that, Okay, what it does is it moves you onto, let's say that you do that on question number 1 and you flagged it. What will it do for you? It's going to now take you straight onto question number 2, leaving question number 1 unanswered. Okay, when you finished everything, or even if at any point in time you want to come back to it, there's a little button that you got on the bottom that says return to flagged questions. You click that, and all the questions that you have not answered will come up for you, and you can answer them. If you don't do that, when you get to the very end of your exam, let's say, for example, you've just flagged question number 1 and you've answered question 2 to 100, and you're about to submit the exam will remind you and say, remember, you've got one flagged question. Do you want to answer it now? Yeah, and that's the way to skip among questions. Okay, so to answer your question, I see sometimes where people come from with this particular question. So they say, well, if ethics is going to play with your head a little bit, should you not rather just start somewhere else? You can. But all I ask of you guys, and it's something that I always try and encourage people to do, okay, is where by the time you come into the exam, okay, have your strategy set out. Don't get into the exam and answer 1 or 2 questions and say, it's not going so well over here. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should spend more time here. Maybe no. Go into the exam with all your strengths and your weaknesses, whatever they are, and have your strategy set out for you nicely. Okay, you don't want to get into that exam and all of a sudden you start to, okay, and remember, so where do you practice? Remember, in terms of CAIA give you 2 practice exams. I call them 2 exams. It's really 1 exam, but 1 exam is 2 exams of 100 marks. So there you've got 200 MCQs to practice on. And at Edge, we give you 600 markers. That's another 600 MCQs, which I always ask our guys to do under exam conditions. So you've got in total 800 multiple choice questions at your disposal, guys. More than enough time to practice, more than enough time and more than enough questions to be able to develop your particular strategy. So by the time you go into the exam to write your 200 questions, your strategy is well refined by then. Okay, I'm coming back to the top part over here. Okay, and what I'm going to do today, we're going to look at a couple questions together as well, just to give you a bit of a sense of what you can expect for your CAIA exam questions for ethics. Okay, good. Okay, so just a brief look. Okay, perhaps I don't know if people have, but if you have, let me answer the question up front for you. CFA, okay, in 2024 going into 2025 changed their ethics. Okay, so what that means is, and just be careful with this, guys, that in 20, and I'm talking about for CFA particularly, CFA in 2024 used certain ethics, and in 2025, I'm just going to clean up here a little bit. Okay, 2025, they made some changes to the ethics. Okay, so anybody that is studying CFA in 2025, for the 2025 exams for CFA, are using new ethics. Okay, and this is just important because if you do decide to try and use some CFA stuff as well, just be careful that CFA have got new ethics, and it's not completely new or unrecognizable from what it was before. No, it's just a couple changes have been made from 2024. What CAIA did, CAIA said, no, we are sticking with the old CFA standards of professional conduct and ethics. CAIA are not taking any changes in from 2024 to 2025. CAIA are using the old 2024 CFA ethics. So if you are using CFA ethics, or you are perhaps writing, I know a couple of guys are doing the strategy. I'm not sure if I love it or not yet. Each to their own, but a couple of guys are doing CFA level 1 in February 2025, as well as doing CAIA level 1 in March 25, 1 month later. It's a big ask, okay? But if you've got time on your hands and you believe you can do it, well, you go ahead. Okay, but just remember, you'll be doing 2 sets of ethics. Okay. Now, the big question we ask ourselves, and this is where the fun starts. You better pass now, guys, and I'll tell you why. The fun starts now is that CAIA have said we are not interested in moving across with CFA to the new set of ethics. Why not? Because in 2025, we're going to finalize our own ethical standards, says CAIA, and introducing a brand new set of CAIA ethics moving away from CFA in 2026. Okay, that's why I say, guys, you better get this in 2025. Otherwise, you've got a brand new set of ethics to study. Okay, and those will be the CAIA ethics. And I think it's a bold move on behalf of CAIA to set up their own ethical standards. Okay, their own ethics book, but well done to them. Okay, I think it's a lovely, lovely move. Okay, and it's setting them apart as their own designation, really, moving away from CFA a little bit, which I think is a bold move. Okay, so but just remember, it depends what you're using, guys. If you are using 2024 ethics from CFA, you're good to go. Just be careful. Don't use, and it's funny to say, but don't use the brand new CFA stuff for 2025. It doesn't apply to us at CAIA. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. I'm going to stop sharing this document with you, and I want to take a brief look over here, guys, at the actual material. Okay. Let's pull that up over there. Can everybody see that over there? Okay. Now, what we've got over here is this is the actual set of edge notes that we provide for you. Okay. And I just want to take you through them very briefly, what you can expect from them, how you should study them, etc., etc. Okay. So as you can see over here, guys, okay, professional standards and ethics, topic number 1. There is only one reading, okay, for ethics, topic number 1. This is it. Okay. And what you see over here, guys, is we've put the 6 standards, and those that are familiar perhaps with CFA will say, but hold on a second, aren't there 7 standards of professional conduct? Yes, there are, but CAIA only takes the first 6. Why do we only take the first 6 here at CAIA? Because the very last one relates specifically to use of the CFA designation, which of course doesn't apply to us here at CAIA, and writing of CFA exams, again, doesn't apply to CAIA. So just remember, guys, if you are doing if you're looking at the CFA notes from a CFA perspective, you'll notice that there are 7 standards of professional conduct. We at CAIA only do the first 6. Okay. Now, so there we go. So on the very first page, and you can see we do this for all of our notes, guys. It's so important. We reproduce what we call the learning objectives for you over there on the very first page. And oftentimes it goes on to page 2. Okay, not over here. That's a bit shorter. Okay. And what I always suggest to candidates in terms of your studies is this tells you, because candidates often ask me, what do we need to know for the ethics? Okay. Now, let me tell you what you need to know. You look over here. Let's go. Learning objective A1, demonstrate knowledge of the very first standard called professionalism. And it tells you, interpret standard 1 with respect to knowledge of the law, independent. Okay. And number 2 is identify procedures for compliance. And that's the same for all 6, guys. Identify procedures for compliance. Is the particular person that we're dealing with in our story, because you're going to get lots and lots of 20 stories, in fact, okay, 20 stories, which is 20 multiple choice questions. And each story is going to ask you, has the particular person complied with the ethics or not? Have they violated? Okay, so in terms of the learning objective, guys, it tells us exactly what we need to know. We need to be able to interpret the standard. What does it mean? And has there been compliance with the standard, or has the standard, in fact, been violated? Each and every standard, we go through all of those. Everybody comfortable? Okay, and there's standard 1, standard 2, I'll go down, standard 3, 4, 5, and as you can see, we close off on standard number 6. Everybody comfortable? And it's the same learning objective for each and every one. When we start off over here, guys, I'm just going to take you to the section I want to work off. That's just a bit of a summary in the front page. Here we start. Okay, now, just something to be mindful of as you start your studies. When I said to you initially, there are 6 standards of professional conduct. Okay. What you notice, okay, is that under each of those 6 standards, those are the 6 big standards. The first big standard is called professionalism. Under that big standard called professionalism, okay, you've got substandards. Okay, so maybe we're a little bit misleading to try and get you on board. Okay, today, when we said there's only going to be 6 standards of professional conduct, there's not only 6, there are 20. 6, which are 20. Okay, everyone comfortable? Okay, and the reason that there are, I think, 20 overall, reason being, guys, is because each big standard breaks down into further substandards. And I'll just show you that up here. You can see here, if you look over here, there is professionalism. We've got knowledge of the law, independence and objectivity, misrepresentation, and misconduct. So you can see under standard 1 called professionalism, we've got 4 substandards included over there. Each and every one needs to be learned. Then you move down to standard number 2, integrity of capital markets. In terms of integrity of capital markets, we've only got the 2 over there: material non-public information and market manipulation. Standard 3, duties to clients. So we've got loyalty, fair dealing, suitability, performance presentation, and preservation of confidentiality. Is everybody comfortable so far? Okay. Standard number 4, duties to the employer, loyalty, additional compensation arrangements, and responsibility of supervisors. There's 3 under there. Under investment, standard number 5, investment analysis, recommendations, actions. We've got diligence and reasonable basis, communication with clients and prospective clients, and record retention. And lastly, number 6, we've got conflicts of interest, disclosure of conflicts, priority of transactions, and referral fees. And you can see over there, guys, as you go through all of those, each of the big 6 translates into 20 overall. Okay, so it's a lot of what makes, let's just talk a little bit what makes ethics a little bit challenging. Okay, what makes it a bit challenging is that, okay, there's a lot of material to get through. There are 6 main standards of professional conduct, and under those 6 standards, guys, we have got 20 substandards, and you've got to know them well. What is a little bit of a challenge that we've got associated with all of this, guys, a slightly added dimension over here, is that the standards, there's a lot of the standards that kind of like look a little bit the same. Okay, a fair measure of repetition. Now, when you get that fair measure of repetition, it creates a little bit of confusion. Which standard is it? Where am I dealing? So what my suggestion is in terms of your studies for standards of professional conduct. Number 1, study them well. A lot of guys have the strategy. I'm not sure if the strategy comes because they start late. I don't know. Okay. But part of the strategy, guys, a lot of guys leave it till right until the end. Okay, they only start studying ethics right at the end. They say because it's anyway something we've got to SWOT, we might as well SWOT it close to the end, and not a good strategy. I don't believe it to be a good strategy. I believe you study it now, you study it again in a month's time, study it again another month's time, till it really becomes familiar to you. It almost becomes second nature. You don't try and study it right at the end and try and remember everything, because it's not. It's a bit of a misnomer when people tell you it's stuff that you need to learn off by heart. It's not. Okay, it's stuff that you need to intuitively understand and start to say, well, okay, that's the case. How do I apply what I've learned to that? Don't just learn it off by heart and hope in the exam that it'll come to you how to apply it. It doesn't work like that. Everyone comfortable with that? So start off now, study the 6 standards of professional conduct, which in fact are 20 substandards. Know them well. Okay. I'm not sending you to take it into bed with you. We had one candidate at CFA who put it up on the roof of her bed. Okay. She was single, by the way, so maybe it helped. Okay. She put it up on the roof of her bed. She had one copy in her bathroom. She would get up in the morning from her sleep, and the first thing she would see was Standard 1A, professionalism, knowledge of the law. Standard 1B, okay, independence and objectivity, misrepresentation, misconduct, and she knew them like that. Okay. If that works for you, well, good on you. If not, just study them well. Okay. Everyone comfortable. So just remember, guys, there are 6 standards of professional conduct, which then translate into 20 overall substandards. You need to know them well, because remember, every question that you get is really, it's all exactly the same. It's a little bit carbon copy time and time again. It's a story. Okay. You can get a little bit of a story. And once you've got your story, then what happens? Once you've had the story, then they ask you 3, they often give you 3, maybe sometimes even 4 parts, guys. Okay, and in those 3 or 4 parts, what have you got? Part 1, then the question is this a violation? Part A, no violation. Part B, yes, a violation of a certain standard. Part C, yes, a violation of a different standard. And part D, yes, a violation of even a different standard. So that's why you got to know your work really, really well. Number 1, you got to say to yourself, in every single question, you got to say to yourself at the end of that question, yes, a violation or no violation. And if you conclude, guys, that yes, it's a violation, you're going to need to know a violation of which standard. Everybody comfortable? So when you think to yourself, well, how well do I need to know my ethics? Well, that's how well. As you come to the end of a question, you got to say violation, yes or no. If yes, violation of what? Okay, everyone comfortable? Not easy. So as you read through, I'm just going to take you through one of the standards over here. Let's take ourselves down over here. Let's look at the first one. Okay. I see quite a few people joining onto the session now. Unfortunately, guys, you've missed the first hour. It might be a bit of a timing issue. Okay. We'll have to just try and see if we can't sort that out a little bit. Okay. But of course, all the sessions are recorded, guys, so no stress about that. But let's have a look, guys. I just want to take you through one standard just to make sure that your level of thinking is where it needs to be. So let's start off. Standard number 1, professionalism. Remember, what do we say? Professionalism is 1 out of 6. 1 out of 6. But in that 1, we break it down into 4. What's the first one? 1A, knowledge of the law. Okay, there is your standard over there in the box. Then we give you guidance on how to look at the standard. Okay. Once we've done that, guys, then we give you, and this is the key over here, recommended procedures for compliance. We've given you the standard over here, and we've told you here's the standard. Okay, here is the standard, and once you've got that particular standard, we say to you, now that you've got that particular standard, what do you do with it? Well, there is the guidance. Okay, number 1. And number 2 is there are the recommended procedures for compliance. Okay, now what I've added in over here, it's taken us a long time to get together, but I have done it for you guys, and I think it's important. Okay, in the CFA textbook, what they have at the end is they give you case after case after case. Okay, what I've done is, and there's well over 100, I think there's 100 and something of them. I've taken every single one of those cases over here. And this is just for the first standard. We've got how many? 8. And I've summarized the case study for you and given you the correct course of action there on the right-hand side of the table. Very valuable to look at these applications of the standard, because it'll give you a very good sense, guys, of what you can expect over here from the particular section. Everybody comfortable with that? Okay, so again, every single standard, again, let's just do a quick summary for those that have just joined us over now. In terms of the standards of professional conduct, what have we got? We've got 6 standards of professional conduct. And within those 6 standards, they break down, guys, into what? 20 substandards. The first substandard over here, we're looking at the first big standard over here is called Standard 1, professionalism. Breaks down into 4. The first of the 4 is called knowledge of the law. And under there, so the block that I've got over there gives you the actual CFA standard as you need to know it. It's called Standard 1A, knowledge of the law. Okay. Then we give you the guidance on how to apply the standards. Okay. Then we talk about recommended procedures for compliance. I put that over there. And then lastly, for every one of the 20, guys, I've given you application. In other words, what is the case? What is the course of action? Okay. Everybody comfortable. And yes, guys, it's going to take you time. As you can see over here on the right-hand side of my page, I don't know if you can see it or not, there's 92 pages for ethics. But rather do my 92 pages, guys, than the 400 for CFA. Okay. And I've summarized everything up for you, hopefully quite nicely. So it's all over here for you. Okay. So as you go through, guys, just a bit of a structure. As you go through the ethics, number one, know which standard you're in, know what the standard says, and know the compliance for that particular standard. How do you comply with the standard? What is not complying with the standard? What actions do not comply? What actions do comply? And go over. What will be success in your ethics mark, guys, will be constant practice. Constant practice. Everyone comfortable with it? Okay, good. And that is ethics. And you can see over here, then we go on to the next one, standard 1, which is still the first standard. B, independence and objectivity. Guys, there is your guidance. Okay, there is your compliance procedures, recommended procedures for compliance, and there is your application. Again, you can see over here, in terms of application over here, turn your pages, your 16 questions for you. 16 stories, 16 applications, and we give you the answers then on the right-hand side. What was right? Did he do right? Did he do wrong? Was it correct? Was it a violation? Everybody comfortable? So remember, ethics questions, it's no surprise. Your ethics question at the end of the day is going to be blah, blah, story. Yes violation, no violation. If yes violation, violation of what particular standard? And they normally list 2 or 3 for you over there. That's it. That's ethics. Okay. Is everybody any questions before? I still have got about a little bit more time left of our session today, guys. I want to look at some practical ethics questions together with you. But any questions up until this point in time? Okay. Okay. Then what I want to do is I want to share a new document with you guys. I think it's this one here. Okay. And I've harvested these particular questions. Okay. We're in the process of updating them. These are old, but I don't mind to use old questions for ethics because ethics for CAIA have not changed in 12 years, at least. Okay, 12 to 15. I think 2014 or 2011 was when they had these particular standards. As mentioned earlier, CFA have finally in 2025 made some change to those. CAIA have not adopted those changes. So we left at CAIA with very, very, very old CFA questions. So I'm quite happy to use these ones. And what I've done with these guys, and as I say, I'm going to do this for all the sections as we go through. I've harvested these particular questions from where? Okay, there they are. We call these past exam questions. What's it? Whenever you see that in our notes, past exam questions, what do you know about those? A past exam question, all that means, guys, is that I don't know if it was in a past CAIA exam or not. I have no idea. Okay. All I do know is that CAIA presented these to the candidates as practice questions. Remember, we said to you a bit earlier, guys, CAIA gives you one full practice exam or 200 multiple choice questions as practice, and they say this is very likely what it will look like in your exam. And I've had mixed experience from candidates. Some candidates tell me, that doesn't look like anything like that in the exam. Now the candidates say to me it was a fair representation. Always remember, guys, of course, when you come out of your particular exam, everybody's going to say, that was the hardest exam, okay, that I've ever written, okay, the most difficult, okay, etc., etc. So, whether or not it is or not, I don't know. Do these exactly measure up to the level that you should be at? I believe it's a good indication. So we use these as practice. Okay. And as mentioned, these are old, but as I'm happy to use them because there's been no change in ethics. We will at Edge be updating the last CAIA exams for you because we get a lot of complaints from the CAIA guys that write the CAIA exams that there's not a lot of explanations provided by CAIA and etc. The explanations are not great. So we've taken upon ourselves just to rewrite some of those solutions for you, but those will come out, of course, in due course based on prior practice papers. Okay, guys, what I want to do now is I want to start, and just you thought, sure, I've nearly got to the end of the session, okay, and I've done very little work. Okay, the session ends in 20 minutes. I'm not sure why. I think some guys got the time wrong a little bit. But anyway, it's nice to have you on board for the little time that we've had some of the guys on board for. But in terms of the session, you've all had a bit of a free session today, but that's about to end. Okay. What I want to do now, guys, I've picked a few questions that I want to look at, and we'll do a couple of questions for the next 15 or 20 minutes before we close off. But what I want to do is I want to do a question, and I'm going to present the question to you. I want you guys to do the question, and then we'll go over it together. So the very first one, guys, is question number 3. I'm going to find that for you guys. Okay. Can everybody see question over 3 over there? Let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Does it degraded it or no? Okay, there we go. Guys, question number 3. I'm going to give you 72 seconds. Get working. As you've got an answer, please pop it into the chat and we'll go through it together. Now's my chance to relax. Okay, question 3. Get started. Guys, let's go. As you've got an answer, put it in the chat, please. Okay, guys, I think we've got a lot of answers already. Let's have a look. Okay, I'm starting from the beginning. Okay, I've got A, B, 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 C, B, A. So predominantly A's, but quite a few B's, quite a few C's. Let's have a quick look over here, guys, and let's go through the question together. Okay. Now, again, part of what makes ethics a little bit more difficult is that there's a little bit to read. And you've got to really keep the case about you because they can really present quite a complicated case, can't they? Okay. Ernest Mudgett CAIA is analyzing a large manufacturer in the clothing industry. After interviewing a number of key suppliers and retailers, Mr. Mudgett determines that several of the manufacturer's key lines are expected to have weak sales. Okay. And remember, who is he? And always remember what they do. It's a little bit of a CFA-ism. What they do is they start off with his name, Ernest Mudgett, and then they move straight to his surname. and you got to just keep your head about you. Who is Majid? Because you started to talk about Ernest. Just keep your head about you a little bit. Mr. Majid is certain that the price is imminent, okay, and he advises clients to hold the stock to sell it. With respect to the code and ethics, how would Mr. Majid's actions best be described? So if we just break the case down over here, what have we got over here? We've got, and this is the gray, guys. This is the gray. Okay. Ernest Majid is analyzing a large manufacturer. What does he do? He interviews key suppliers, retailers, etc., etc. Okay. And then what happened? Now here's the key, guys. Always look for the key words in ethics. After a while, what does he do? Mr. Majid himself, I'll use a different color, he determines, okay, that several of the lines are going to be weak, and therefore he determines that a stock price decline is imminent. Okay, now we've got A, B, C, and D. Again, let's go and have a look at, guys. You were warned. You were warned. Okay, number one, no evidence of any violation. Or yes violation, yes violation, yes violation, but you've got to tell me what he violated. Now, B, he violated material non-public information. C, diligence and reasonable basis, or both. Now, in terms of coming out of this particular question, guys, what I want you to be able to do is to be able to say, because when you conclude one thing, I also want you to be able to conclude why they possibly gave us the other options. Okay, so most guys gave the answer as A, and yes, you're right. Okay, granted. But and this is how I want you to study, guys. It's not, as I say, these Zoom sessions are not really here for me to go over material necessarily with you. You've got notes and videos for that. We've got to see where we can add value to the process in terms of the understanding of how we go about our business. Okay, so so A. Now let's have a look at B. Why would you think that Mr. Majid perhaps had violated standards to a material non-public information? Well, if Mr. Majid, and this is what I want you to think about, each and every question, take your time, guys, there's no hurry. You don't need to do these questions in 72 seconds. What's the key? What's the goal at this early stage of the study program? Understanding. Okay, so let's understand. B, Mr. Majid violated standard 2A, material non-public. Well, when would he have? Guys, I'm going back to the chat over here. Help me out. When do you believe, and I'm talking particularly about those guys that answered A and said that this is not a violation of material non-public information, when would it have been? When would it have been a violation? I'm checking the chat, guys. My question to you is, you and most people have said no evidence of a violation. Okay, well, when would it have been? Let's have a look. Okay, Mark says if it's a public company. Eduardo says if he talked to someone in the company. These guys, these are good answers. Okay, because there had to be something that he heard that it's not public. It's not public. Remember, what does standards 2A tell us? Number one, there's Paul as well. Thank you for that. Okay. It's non-public. In other words, what? The public haven't heard about it. Okay. Number two is, okay, it's material. So you guys are all giving me the right answers. I like it. Thank you, guys. Okay. So, and that's why always go back to your that's why you got to know your ethics so well. Go back and think, okay, hold on a second. Material, public, ferial, thank you for that one. Public and material. Thank you. You guys have got fantastic answers. Okay. I'm blessed with a lovely class here. Thank you, guys. Okay. So what do we say? It's got to be material, okay, and public. So it's so my apologies, non-public. In other words, it's not known to the public. And that's what everybody's telling me. He got the information from an insider, someone in the company, overheard, whatever it happens to be, number one. And number two is what, guys? It's got to be material. Yet, what did he do over here, guys? He looked at, he spoke to some of the manufacturers. Anybody can talk to the manufacturers. Just pick up the phone and talk to the manufacturers. Yeah, you can do your own research, pick up the financial statements, public information. So there's nothing here that was non-public. Okay, it's all public stuff. So he could not have violated material. It might have all been material, but it was it was available to the public. So that's why, and guys, this is how I want you to go through your questions. Any good multiple choice question like these, okay, they're there to trick you or to try and make you to sway you into another direction. Okay, number C, guys, help me here again. Now they say perhaps Mr. Mudgett would have violated standard 5A, diligence and reasonable basis. And I'll just help you with this one just due to time, but I still want to do one or two more. Diligence and reasonable basis would be what? What does that standard tell you to do? That he must do proper, diligent work before he comes out to a conclusion. In this particular case, okay, by the way, Ferial, I assume that you meant non-public, don't worry. Okay, but thank you for the correction. Okay, so when we talk about here of diligence and reasonable basis, before a person can issue an opinion, and in this particular case, Mr. Mudgett, who was fair, he advises clients to sell it. Now that part over there, guys, when you advise clients to sell the stock, that's called what? That's giving an opinion. Now, when he gave that opinion, did he do so? Had he done reasonable research, diligence, etc.? Seems like he had. But look, and now look over here. Where would you know, and this is what you've got to look at for ethics, guys. If I showed you over here, where would you know from the question that Mr. Mudgett did sufficient work? Okay, and let's look at some clues. Okay, he interviewed a number of key suppliers, so he's done some work over there. Okay, he's analyzing industry players, so he didn't just go to the dentist. And over here, the dentist say to him, you know, I heard from the last person that was in my chair today that this particular company is going to have weak sales going forward. You better sell all the stock you hold. No, he did proper work. Okay, so can you see how this? So yes, the stories in and of themselves may be a little frustrating and long, but all the clues are in the story. Okay, everyone comfortable with that? Okay. I'm going to skip forward a bit, guys, and let's go. I want to do question 24. Guys, as you got an answer, pop it through. I'm waiting for you. Okay, my time to drink some coffee. Question 24, pop your answers in. Okay. I can see we are running a bit short of time. Let us go. I got a lot of B's. I got a few C's. Okay. Now let's go and have a look at our particular question. Marie Martel, CAIA, is part of an acquisitions team for a private equity fund. She has a colleague preparing a research report on a company called Target that may soon be acquired by the fund. Based on the conversations with other colleagues, Ms. Martel suspects that material non-public information was used to prepare the research report. Okay. Ms. Martel did not participate in the preparation of the research report in any way and does not have any access to its contents. According to the standards of practice, which of the following would be Ms. Martel's best act? So let's go again. What have we got? We've got a lady over here called Marie Martel, who's part of a team. She has a colleague that is preparing a report. Okay. She asked someone to prepare the report. Now she's a bit suspect about the report. She says this particular report seems to have been prepared using material non-public information, a violation of standard 2A. Okay. She herself did not participate in the report in any way and doesn't even have access to the contents. Okay. What would be her best course of action? Okay. A, as she did not participate, she does not need to take any action. And I don't think, I'm just going to check over here again if I got any A's. Okay. No. I've got no A's. Doesn't seem. B, she should inform her compliance officer of the situation before taking further action. Okay. C, she should dissociate from any wrongdoing, including possibly even resigning. Okay. Now, you never need to take no action. You always need to take some action. Okay. So we can get rid of A. You always need to get involved somehow. Now, I want to talk to the B people because most of you guys were B people. Why don't you like C? Is C wrong? I'm talking to the B people. The C people, you don't have to answer this one. The B people. Okay. The B people. What when does she, because B says she should dissociate, including even possibly resigning. Is that wrong? So we've got over here, okay, Eduardo, she's not certain that it happened, okay. Mohammed says dissociate only when the action continues, okay. Mark, uncertain situation. And Pawan, if the firm does not take any action, then C would be an option. Mandisa, no, but you need to report to take action. Okay, compliance officer should decide other steps. I'm not sure who RPAD is. I don't see a name over here. I just see RPAD. I like your answer. Compliance officer should decide further steps. CCM, I don't know who you are. She should first report it. If it continues, then dissociate. There's a chain. Martina, thank you. Slee, good. SB, okay. Now you can see over here, guys, and we'll have to, unfortunately, this will be the last question that we can do today just due to timing. But what do you notice over here? Okay. A lot of guys are going on the fact that there's no confirmation of it. Okay. I hear that. That is one aspect of it. But another aspect of it, and just something I want to highlight as well, I want to highlight 2 points over here. Okay. Point number one, okay, is C's right. Okay, not in this answer, no. But C is correct also. She should dissociate from any wrongdoing, including possibly even resigning. And for 2 reasons, and you guys have, in fact, mentioned both of them. Reason number one is we don't have a complete, we're not sure yet. And again, that's why I say the answer is in the question. Look over here. Let's just change our color again. What does it say? It says, Miss Martel suspects. She doesn't know yet. Whereas if you see someone sitting next to you at the desk next to you, or your boss tells you to do something wrong, there's no suspicion over here. If your boss says to you, go, I've got some inside information, okay, material, non-public information, please go and trade on it. Well, now you know. There's no suspicion. Number one. Number two is what, guys? And I'm not sure who mentioned it, but I liked it very much, okay, is someone mentioned chain of command. What does chain of command mean? Yes, you may need to dissociate if it continues. You may even need to resign if it continues. But what's the very first step that you take? Is you talk to your compliance officer. Okay, so that's why ethics. So the guys that picked C, please hold your head up high. Nothing to be embarrassed about. Okay, I would shout at you if you picked A, but no one picked A. Okay. But you can see why C is also right. But there's a chain of command. We first go for B and then we go for C. Okay, so now if we had to conclude over here, which unfortunately we're going to need to for today's session, guys, just remember, ethics, the study of ethics is not so difficult. What makes it difficult? The questions. Okay, but remember your answers are in the story. Okay, so, but what I do suggest, guys, and I don't like it as a strategy. A lot of guys tell me that this is the strategy to do. I don't love it at all. Okay, the strategy that I want you guys to do is to start to study ethics very, very early. Don't leave it late. Okay, it's just because you can see it's not a lot of people misinterpret ethics as being an off by heart study. It's a practice. Okay, you've got to start to understand the section, practice the section, and move forward then from there. Okay, guys, on that note, okay, so Olga, the correct answer here was B. Okay, there we go. So, but Olga, just remember, B is the correct answer for here, but C is not wrong in it as a statement. C is not wrong. Okay, everyone comfortable? Okay, guys, on that note, we're going to have to, I'm going to stop sharing this particular document with you here. I'm going to come back to our main landing page. Thank you, everybody, for, okay, I've got a question over here. Can you please tell us how many pages? Other topics are shorter. Okay. Ethics had to be a little bit longer, but remember, when I say shorter, they are comprehensive. We have to cover each and every single learning objective is covered, and that's why I'm fairly confident to tell you guys you can use our material as a standalone. That's all you need, and you will pass this exam. There's enough there. Okay. If that answers the question over there. Okay. So, okay, guys, on that note, I'm going to wish everybody a most fantastic afternoon henceforth. We are meeting again next week, okay, where we will cover the first component then of topic 2, Introduction to Alternative Investments. Okay, I hope everybody is on track with us, and then we're going to break that because it's such a big topic. Topic 2, we break it down into 2 sessions. Okay, so we're going to be meeting each other fairly regularly from now on. Okay, we don't get much of a break now. For those that are asking, oh, when's the break? Midway through December, you get a bit of Christmas, New Year off, and then we start again. So there will be a bit of a break. So just remember, guys, if you are falling a little bit behind, don't let that stress you. Okay. We are going to have a little bit of a time off towards the end of the year, just to give you some time just to be able to catch up. Just the last question or two, would the session be available online? Yes, I'm going to post it as soon as it does what it's supposed to do. I don't know what that is. It saves, it converts, it does its stuff. As soon as it's ready, it takes about an hour odd. We will post that, of course. Okay. Okay. A question over here. Okay. Is there any other free sessions? Well, this was the main one. If guys missed a little bit of the session because somehow I see why New York time changed today. Oh, I understand. Okay. How misfortunate. Okay. So guys, if you feel that you missed out and you would like to attend another session, let me know. This is typically the format of what they're all going to look like. So hopefully that should be enough to make a decision. If not, let me know. We can make a plan for you. Where can we find the WhatsApp group link? I'm going to have to, what I'll do, guys, is I will post the WhatsApp group link onto the classroom, and you can just link yourselves there. We should be on topic 2 regarding progress at this point. Yes, you should have started, okay, topic 2 by now. Okay. And by next week, Sunday, when we meet again, approximately four readings done. Okay. All right, guys. And just remember, of course, guys, okay, if anyone's got any questions or queries, please feel free. You've all got email addresses and that. Please feel free to reach out. Absolute pleasure. We are here to help whoever needs help. But as I say, guys, 2 things I'm going to do for you. Number 1 is we will post this recorded session onto the classroom. Okay. Some people have already purchased the program and are on the classroom already. So of course you'll have access to that. Those that are just using the free trial, you'll have access to this one as well. I will also post onto both the free trial and the classroom itself, guys. I'll see how I do it. I'll have to talk to the tech team, but I will post a WhatsApp link, how you can link straight to the, because we do have a free WhatsApp group that everybody's welcome to join onto as well. Okay. On that note, guys, I'm going to wish everybody a most fantastic rest of Sunday, be it Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, or even Sunday evening. Have a most fantastic rest of day, and we will see everybody, those that are part of the official program, next week, Sunday. And anybody else that's got any questions, queries, please feel free to reach out as well. Cheers, everybody.